Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla, and for today's TikTok Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the job market. Now, honestly, this is a topic that I just don't know much about these days, aside from some clients and some people that I know where I've heard it's been tough for them to find jobs. And I don't know if it's in certain industries or if it's across the board tough. So I know that I'm going to learn a lot by filming this video. I searched job market on TikTok. I have not selected any TikToks yet, but I'm just going to go through these, and I'm only going to include videos from 2025. Also, please feel free to share your experience in the comments because I really don't have much to say aside from I know that when I was working a 9 to 5, and before quitting my job, I was looking for other jobs, and at that time it was tough. I was interviewing, I was getting ghosted, or I would go through the whole interview process and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna get the job for sure, 100%, and then they choose somebody else or whatever the case was. I really hate the interview process. I think it's just so icky and unnatural, and you have to kind of fake who you are in a sense, and just the whole process of it is really frustrating and exhausting, especially when they throw in a project and it's something that you have to spend a lot of time on, and you're not getting paid for that, and you're still working a full-time job and maintaining everything else that you're doing. So yeah, that was kind of my last experience with it, which was back in March 2024. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into these TikToks.
Yes, it's a lot right now. If you're trying to get a job in this job market, it's the toughest it's been in years. Even just compared to last year, it's way more difficult to just get an interview. And unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is out of your control. You have no control over the fact that you're competing with more people because there's been a ton of layoffs, or that more companies are using AI as part of the hiring process, and that complicates things. But you do have control over your approach, because your approach can be better than 95% of the other people that are trying to apply for jobs right now. So what you can do is be more effective, and you can be more consistent. So you can do things differently, don't just apply on the big job sites. Find specific job boards for your industry or your roles. You'll have a better chance there because there'll be fewer applicants. So another thing, don't just have one version of your resume or even just two versions. Take the extra 5-10 minutes to tailor your resume to every job application. It makes a huge difference. And consistency is key. Have a focused goal every single day of how many applications you're going to send out. Set yourself a timer, maybe 50 minutes of applications, 10 minutes break, and do that several times a day. Just having that goal and that consistency is going to put you ahead of most other people.
All right, so there's a few tips for you if you're in the job market now. To me, they sound pretty that's what everybody does, or from what I've heard. And this is what it just makes me... It's so icky. I don't like interviewing or applying, all of that. It just brings back such bad memories of that time, and I'm so grateful to be out of the 9 to 5 life. I truly don't think I could go back. As somebody who, while they were working a 9 to 5, was very distant from that life, as in I would do my job, but I'm not going to go above and beyond. I did not feel tied into the culture of a 9 to 5. It was just okay, this is a means to an end, and I know what my end goal is, So anytime I was applying to jobs on LinkedIn, for example, I would only apply if I could do it through LinkedIn. So I didn't like having to go elsewhere, and then you type in all of your information, even though it's already all on my resume. And then typically they're like, okay, upload your resume. And then they'll ask those same questions to type in, even though it's on your resume. Then you have to make a cover letter. And I know there's things like ChatGPT, and you could probably throw in your resume or your cover letter and mix it up for each job. But they're also probably scanning these things, and anytime maybe that would set off their AI detection devices or whatever they're using and being like, oh, disqualified because they used AI. So, and I think that's fair. I understand that maybe a company would want somebody who is genuinely interested in the job, but the work of just getting the job it was so challenging, and I can imagine it's even more tough right now. And the idea of having to update your resume per job application, like I said, I don't really know what it's like now, but as somebody who was trying to get a job back in 2021, 2022 in the Salesforce space or in the tech side, I use LinkedIn heavily, and I would reach out to people. I feel like that is kind of the best thing, is like getting your name out there to people and just trying to network, because actually talking to real people, the people in charge of hiring or the teams that you may end up being on, that can make the biggest difference. But honestly, at the end of the day, it really comes down to like who you know and kind of just like luck, I think. Yeah, y'all let me know. I don't know, but that's how it was back then, at least.
This morning I have a third round interview with a company that I've been interviewing at for the past 2 weeks, and it's actually a job that I like really want. It is Monday, April 14th, and I am not posting this or anything about it unless I get the job. So if you're seeing this, yay. I got a job offer after 2.5 months of being unemployed after being laid off. I've never been so just all over the place since these last 2 months, but today's my third round interview. I don't know if it's the last interview. I feel like I'll have one more, but I'm so nervous because I've made it to final rounds before in the last 2.5 months, and then I don't like proceed. So I'm trying not to get in my head. I literally have prepped so hard for this interview, but I don't know. Wish me luck. Well, if you're seeing this, I don't know. Wish me luck.
Yay, it looks like she got the job because she posted this video. Her hair is so beautiful, by the way. So got laid off 2.5 months later. She got the job, and she's probably interviewed at tons of places. I know that makes it even more stressful. This is the importance of having your finances together, having an emergency fund, getting that debt paid down, because layoffs have occurred more frequently across all of these different industries over the last few years, and it can be devastating for an individual and even more so for a family. My fiance lost his job last August and then didn't get a job until December. So it took him several months. He was interviewing left and right. He's also really good about networking, reaching out to people, kind of going above and beyond in that process. And yeah, I just know it's super tough. So I'm glad that she got this. But yeah, as she called out, she's gotten to the final round of interviews before, and they didn't move her forward. And it's just really defeating, especially if it's a job that you're like, I'm going to get it, or I'm really excited about it, and then you don't, and you put all this time into it, and it almost becomes a full-time job looking for a job. It does become a full-time job because you're spending hours prepping for these things and doing the projects that they assign, learning the ins and outs of the company, and then to get through all 3 rounds, meet these people, get your hopes up. I think that's kind of the secret, is to not get your hopes up and just be chill about it. You just never know.
I got laid off in December, and it's June now, so I'm obviously not doing a good job at finding a new job. Genuinely, every time I apply for any job, it feels like I'm just buying a lottery ticket. Like, it feels more likely to win the lottery right now than to get a job. And I think that says a lot about the systems that we're using for job applications. I know there was a certain time where it would have been really helpful to use like LinkedIn or Indeed or these other websites, but they've become so overrun with fake jobs, with fake applicants, with fake employers. It's just an absolute crap show there, and it makes me not even want to apply anymore. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm wasting my time sitting on these websites and applying for things. A lot of you are going to say, oh, you have to know someone at a company, like reach out to them, or just go in person. Oh, go to the actual website for the company and apply there. Trust me, I've literally done it all. At this point, I'm just at a loss, and I'm kind of like, do I even keep applying? Because I feel like I'm giving a little bit of my soul away every single time I apply and hear absolutely nothing back. We need new systems immediately.
Yeah, see, what I was talking about is already outdated, which is crazy. And I don't know much about the fake job postings, AI postings. Like, why is that even happening? Why? That needs to be resolved. LinkedIn especially, they are supposed to be a professional social platform. So for them to allow that or just let it slip through their fingers is a problem in and of itself. Also, specifically the last company that I worked at, they would always have job postings up even though they weren't hiring. And I didn't understand that. So I was still working at the company, and people would message me like, hey, I'm interested in the consultant role. Can you blah, 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 like hop on a call and talk about it? But I'm like, we're literally not hiring. Like I barely have work. My team barely has work. And this was back in 2024. So I guess they kept it open so that if somebody were to quit or they fired somebody, they had like a whole bunch of people to run through. I have no clue. But at the same time, I know thousands of, like, they would give updates on a monthly basis and say, we had some thousand in the last quarter apply to work here. I was about to say the company. So it's not like they had a shortage of applicants, and I don't know why. They always had the job postings up for like all of the roles despite not hiring. I think that's misleading. I want to see some of the comments. It's so frustrating. I've been applying for months and nothing. You shouldn't not have to know someone at a company to get a job or even an interview. I refuse to create another account for one specific job and input my work experience and upload a resume. Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like, I'm not creating a login and then typing in all of my information, even though it's on a resume. Oh, jeez. Laid off in November. It's brutal. I've stayed strong and optimistic, but just cried this morning. I can imagine that would be so frustrating. I would feel really defeated. This is why I always knew I wanted to do something aside from a 9-to-5 job, but having like those side hustles, having something else to work on. Because also at the same time, you can't just apply for jobs. If you've been laid off and now you've been unemployed for over 6 months, you're gonna run into burnout for sure. So you've got to have something else to do. If I were in this situation, I honestly would look elsewhere. It does depend on your financial situation as well, like how much debt you have, where you're living, but I would go and look at retail. I would become a server maybe, get certified in like personal training and start taking up clients, something else other than just trying to work like a desk job. I don't know what industries she's in, but it sounds like for the most part what she's looking for is like the stuff that you're going to find on LinkedIn, you know?
And another thing, because this gets me heated, unless you've been on a job search in the last 2 years, you do not know how bad it is out here. The job market is trash. Basura, it's been bad. I'm talking about applying to 20 jobs a day, reaching out to recruiters, doing this on LinkedIn, and hearing crickets. People are trying. People are not lazy. And then people who have a job give the most useless advice, like, why don't you tailor your resume to every single job? You don't think that I've done that? Unless your job is hiring and you have a referral, zip it.
Yeah, see, this is exactly why I was like, I don't know what it's like these days, and I don't have much to say, because it is so different compared to even just a year or two ago, and yeah, it's just not the same. So that's why I don't have anything to say about it. I know it's tough. One person commented, my parents keep telling me there's plenty of work everywhere. Where? Yeah, that would be frustrating. Y'all need to be doing this, y'all need to be doing that. No, you don't understand. These employers aren't even responding. Having an interview, them saying they like you and get denied. Yep, that always happened. Did you go straight to the CEO's office and give a firm handshake? And then this girl responded, that's my parents. I cannot stand when someone says tailor your resume. I have 500 versions of this resume and none of them are getting me in the door. Oh, that's so sad. This would be really frustrating. Apply to Hyatt hotels. Yeah, go work at a hotel. Like, do something else. That's what I would do. It's not even worth it. These people don't deserve all y'all's time.
Someone please help me find a job. The job market is literally the trenches right now. I graduated 3 years ago with a degree in molecular and cell biology, and since then, I've spent over $18,000 trying to transition into tech. First, I did a boot camp in quality assurance, and that didn't work out. I looked for a job for like a year, and I wasn't able to land a job. And then I did another boot camp, which was $16,000 in cybersecurity. The boot camp didn't do much. Yes, it was helpful in terms of like the information they were teaching, but like it was everything I could have gotten online. So honestly, that's my fault. That was stupid of me to spend so much money on boot camps. I'm doing an internship in cybersecurity right now, and it's coming to an end. It's been nearly a year since I've been there, and the company is trying to extend my contract, which is good, but I really need a full-time position, which pays more than an intern gets paid. At this point, I'm like okay with relocating to New York or Boston, and I'm currently in Connecticut, so if you know anyone in Connecticut, or I would even consider Texas. So if you know anyone who's hiring for entry-level positions, please let me know, because your girl is struggling. And I know it's not just me. I've heard other content creators make similar videos, and I've heard people in general, like my friends and family, everybody's struggling to find a job. So I'm just making this video. Hopefully it can...
So she has a molecular cell degree. I think what was it exactly? Molecular and cell biology. So unfortunately, coming from firsthand experience, getting a degree in biology doesn't really mean much unless you're like pre-med. So a lot of people will major in biology in order to become a doctor or a dentist or a physical therapist, like something related to the medical field. And if you don't go that route, then you're kind of stuck with mediocre, like mid jobs compared to your education, I would say. I did get my master's in biology as well, and I did research during undergrad and in grad school. And that's really like, if you're in the biology field and not pre-med, then you've got to get into research. If you're not in research while in school, like, I don't know what you would do, because I luckily pretty soon after, within about a year and a half of graduating, I landed a job as a microbiologist at the CDC. So that is potentially an option available to her. But what's crazy is over the last few months, there's been a huge amount of layoffs within the CDC and in the healthcare space, which I never expected. When I was working at the CDC, it was something that was like, if you get in here and you become an FTE, like a full-time actual employee of the CDC, it's one of the most secure, stable jobs you can get. So to see all of those layoffs earlier this year was pretty insane to me. A lot of the people that were on my team, they're fine because the research that they're doing is, like, I would say, pretty important. A lot of the divisions that were cut from government funding with the CDC are things that are kind of repeats. Like, there are other, I can't think of the word right now, but other industries or other companies that are doing that research, and it doesn't like technically need to be repeated at the CDC, if that makes sense. So they were at risk. But anyways, what I'm saying is a biology degree sounds great, but really only if you are pre-med or going into research and you don't make that much money as like a scientist. You could get to 6 figures eventually. Somebody commented, transition into tech with a bio degree, good luck. And they put like a bunch of laughing emojis. That is what I did. Granted, this was a couple of years ago, so it was, again, probably much easier at that time, but I did eventually transition into tech, which was a really good decision for me. I'm so glad that I did that. I started studying Salesforce and eventually became a Salesforce consultant, but I know that world is just like, I don't think it's the way to go anymore, at least from what I've heard. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Y'all tell me. It is absolutely possible to transition, though. No matter what space you're in, you can transition to whatever it is that you want to do if you just stay consistent and keep at it, you know? Everything is possible. But somebody commented, stop with the boot camps, watch step-by-step YouTube videos, and start working on your projects. Post on LinkedIn every single day to share your projects. Yeah, you have to be annoying on LinkedIn. Like, just boast about yourself and share every single thing about what you're doing. She said she was a medical assistant for 3 years. So yeah, that's something else you could do with that. But that typically isn't, it's not going to be high paying. Like, that's fine. You can make money, but it's not going to be, if you're looking for something more or you want to work remote, anything like that, it's not going to be with a biology degree.
So if job searching right now feels like you're juggling trash cans full of flaming hot garbage, it's because we are in an employer's job market, and this is what you need to know to navigate it. So the current data points actually point to an incredibly average job market. Like, there's about one unemployed person for every open role. Unemployment is the lowest it's been in the past 20 years, and there are hundreds of thousands of new jobs being added every month. So why does it feel like screaming into an endless void? It's not because you individually are doing something wrong, but like, there's a lot of different macroeconomic trends at play that are shifting power back to employers. They're being way less aggressive than they were a couple years ago in their hiring. They're being way pickier with candidates and way more cautious when they make investments. And these are like the big reasons why all this is happening. First is that high interest rates means that growth is expensive. So when the Fed decides to keep interest rates high to fight that very pesky inflation, that makes it a lot more expensive for companies to borrow money. So they're less likely to invest in growth and hiring. And when they do decide to hire, they're focused on getting the best candidate possible for the least amount of money.
Second is that these hot and cold tariff policies are creating uncertainty around global trade. So companies are less likely to invest in their supply chains, invest in global expansion and hiring to support those initiatives. They're afraid to make decisions based on a set of rules when those rules might change in a quarter. And third, as you might have guessed, is the increasing capability of AI. So as AI becomes more powerful, more prevalent, more autonomous, the companies that are growing, before they jump into making expensive hires, are pausing to assess the scene and say, can we do any of this? Can we automate any of this with AI? And that disproportionately affects white collar roles. And fourth, yes, new jobs are being added, but they're specifically contained to certain sectors like healthcare, construction, hospitality. And in industries like law, finance, business, management, there's way less job openings, more people looking for jobs, and more competition. So obviously there's a lot going on, and we're gonna have to wait and see how things play out. But if you are job searching right now, your best strategy is to shift yourself from this broad mass applying to strategically positioning yourself as the obvious solution to a hiring manager's most urgent problem.
I don't know what that means exactly, or the last part that she said. So I think she is a career coach of some kind. Her @ is Hannah Gets Hired. I'll put her @ right here in case you want to go check her out. She sounds like she's pretty educated on the topic, and maybe she can help people who are looking for a job. I don't know what exactly she means by that last sentence. I feel like that's still really, really hard. And basically with all of this, it just feels really negative. Like, okay, what's even the point then? Like, what do I do? What's the solution? Or, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I don't want to continue doing this. That's what I'm hearing from this. Like, it was just so much and overwhelming that I could imagine, if I was somebody who was applying for jobs, getting rejections left and right, and then months keep on passing, you have bills to pay, credit card debt is growing, whatever it may be, it's tough. Someone said, I have internship experience, recent grad, no return offer. Everyone I reach out to on LinkedIn ghosts me, and I'm not getting interviews from applications.
If you're struggling with the job market right now, just know that I literally was offered a job, signed a legal contract, was told to quit my current job, was meted and greeted by the whole team, gotten coffee, so excited to have you next week. And then on my last day of my 2 weeks notice for the job that they told me to quit, I was told that the company did not have the funds to bring on a new person and they were rescinding my offer.
Lots of people are saying to sue immediately, and she responded as if she is going to. Somebody also said, legally they actually owe you a year of what your salary would have been if they didn't let you go. Sue them. So I hope she did go ahead and sue them. That's crazy, because she put in her she put in her 2-week notice at her past employer, so they're probably already replacing her, or at least in the process of it, and so she can't just be like, oh, never mind. Jeez. That is so awful, and especially it's in person, you're meeting them, getting coffee, we'll see you next week. Woof.
I just got back from an interview. I applied at Michael's stores, the craft stores, to be an event coordinator. Tell me why I get there and she tells me, yeah, you'll be unloading trucks and stocking and all of this. Girl, that's fine if you would have put that on the job list, but you listed it as an event coordinator. So I stopped her very nicely. Just so the position that I applied for, it was for an event coordinator. Is that still... She's like, yeah, you would be doing that when we have events pop up. But she said that their last event was a month ago. It was a kid's birthday party. And she's like, so when there's not any parties, you would just be on the floor helping cashier and stocking and unloading trucks. I need someone overnight to come in and unload the trucks. Girl, why would you list it as an event coordinator then? Then she proceeds to tell me, so I'm going to tell you something that makes everyone run. Everyone rejects me for the job. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, what is it? It's $14.70 an hour. Okay. So, bestie, I think that you're wasting your own time here, because did not say the pay on the job listing. And you're also saying that it's a completely different position than what it is. As an event coordinator would be taking reservations for events and planning out those events very often. So what it sounds like is you guys do an event once every month or two, and then you're really just looking for a semi-truck unloader. That's fine if you don't list the job as an event coordinator. I wouldn't even be doing that. Also, we live in Arizona. To be unloading a truck for $14.70 an hour is absolutely criminal. And she's like, I genuinely wish that I could pay people more, but corporate just won't let me. So this is not hate on her for the pay, but I am kind of hating on her for the job listing because she posted that.
Yeah, that is false advertising. Also, I hate when companies don't put the pay. There should at least be a range. Like that, you're just wasting everybody's time, because if you're asking somebody to come in or have a call and then you tell me something and it's way lower than I'm willing to work for, like, we're just wasting everybody's time here. Be transparent and upfront. Put all that info on there. And yeah, it sounds like for this one, it should just have said, like, store clerk, like you're going to be doing all the things plus event coordination. Somebody commented, I worked at Michael's before. Yes, you will be doing everything beyond your job listing. Yes, corporate is cheap AF and it's practically impossible to get a raise. They will push credit card signups on you like crazy and the customers are rude. Don't do it. Aren't a lot of Michael's going out of business? She posted this just a few days ago. Is it Michael? Maybe it's just Joann's. I know Joann's is going out, but I think Michael's and like Hobby Lobby are next to go, right?
What's the job market looking like right now in June 2025? Let's talk about it. In this video, I'm going to break down the current job market across 3 different metrics and then give it a score out of 10. I'll also share my thoughts on where I think the market's headed. My name's Omar and I talk economics, jobs, and everything New York City. So if you're into some spicy hot takes and in today's case, a job market update, smash up that like and hit follow. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first metric we're going to take a look at today is unemployment rate. As you can see, based on this graph, we're at about 4.2%, flat month on month. And while this is a neutral statistic because not much has changed, this is also not a very good look because 4.2% is the highest unemployment rate level we've seen in the past several months, which basically means there's just as many people unemployed looking for jobs today as there have been at the worst point the past several months. So not off to a great start. The second metric we're going to take a look at today's job openings. As you can see, based on this graph, we're at about 7.4K open jobs. This is a step up from the 7.2K open jobs that we had the previous month, and definitely a step in the right direction, but not a meaningful change by any means. For me to feel more confident in this metric, we really need to go up to the 8K, 8.5K levels, and then, we're really making moves. And the final metric we're going to take a look at today is the Fed funds interest rate. As you can see, based on this graph, we're at 4.5%. We're flat month on month. We've been stuck here for the past several months. The reason why this metric is important is because when the Fed funds interest rate is high, companies have less money to invest in new jobs, new projects, new growth opportunities, all those good things that keep moving the economy forward. And for us to see new jobs hit the market, we need to see the Fed cut the interest rates and quickly. So with these 3 factors considered, I'm going to give the June job market a total score of 4.5 out of 10. If you guys watch my May job market update video, you'll notice that this is half a point higher than what I gave the previous job market update. And the reason for that is the number of open jobs went up. Yes, it was not a big move, but it's a step in the right direction. And this is what we need to keep seeing going forward. Looking ahead, I do see the job market continuing to improve, but it's going to be a very slow, painful process getting there, so buckle up. There are basically 2 things holding back the market right now. One is tariffs, and 2 is the Fed funds interest rate. For us to see a meaningful improvement in the job market, either the tariffs need to get cut or the Fed needs to cut the interest rate. I don't know about the tariffs, but the Fed has signaled that rates might get cut later on this year, maybe September, maybe October, or something like that. So just buckle up, use this time to improve your resume, and be patient. We'll get there later this year.
Very interesting and informative. This guy is Life of Aussie, OSY, Life of, I'll put his ad here. He said he ranked June a little bit higher than May, so I guess that's good. And as he said, it's going to be slow moving forward, the growth in the job market. The other thing too, though, and I'm not seeing it in the comments even, and he didn't mention it, but I saw it on the other ones where it was like fake job listings and how that's a big thing, or it's like AI job listings that just really aren't real. So I wonder how much of that is in those job opening numbers, or if those get filtered out somehow, if they can figure that out. I doubt it. So I feel like those numbers are in there and it could be inflating that, falsely inflating that. But yeah, pretty informative.
You guys, it only took me 573 applications to get a job. Only 573. I don't know why everyone is saying that the job market's so bad right now.
Yeah, that's a lot. Wow. When I first got out of college and I was trying to get into the CDC or get some sort of research job, biology related job. I applied to well over 100. But I can't imagine now what it would be like. And honestly, getting into a government position, getting into the CDC was because I knew somebody. That helped. That's how I got the job, really. They recommended me to their boss, and this boss was like very old school, literally just had a phone call. It wasn't even an interview. He just told me about the job, and then I got the job. So he kind of he trusted his other employee, and was like, all right, let's give her the position. So I'm very grateful for that. Like, yeah, I don't know that I would have gotten in otherwise.
This is Camilla. She just applied to a bunch of NYC jobs in social media.
That was fast.
And she got rejected again and again. And again. She started to wonder if it was even worth it. That is until someone recently told her to start treating your job hunt like a social media campaign. And it gave her an idea.
I have an idea.
She got to work doing what she knows best, creating content and telling stories to make herself stand out from the competition. So if you're a recruiter, a company or an agency, this is our official campaign. She's marketing herself to you. With a master's degree in mass communication focused on social media and extensive experience in strategy, content, and community, she's got the receipts. Hire her.
Nice. I was going to say, like, girl, go into content creation. This is really good, very unique, makes you kind of stop and want to watch it because the voice, the sound effects, the frequent changes in the frame and like the pop-ups, this is really good. I love these videos for my attention span is what somebody said. Obviously, this does work quite well for social media marketing, but I would think something similar to this, some form of content creation around the job that you're trying to get into may help you to stand out. You just have to be careful, of course, but I think it could be a cool way to try and put yourself out there more. I don't know though. Who am I to say? To me, this is very appealing, and I'd be like, whoa, let me see this. It's cool, and you could maybe get some attention. Let's do a couple more.
I feel guilty for feeling burnt out when I'm unemployed. Like, I'm unemployed right now. I have been for a month and a half, and I'm like exhausted. And in my head, I'm like, but remember when you were working corporate, like working 14, 16 hours a day? I think I was so busy then that like I wasn't even able to process that I was burnt out. So for some reason, I feel more exhausted now, which is weird. But I'm trying to figure out why, and I think it's just like the emotional toll it takes on you when you're unemployed or you're job searching. And I'm very, very lucky. Like, I found my job in a month. I just counted today. I think I've been technically unemployed for a month and a half exactly. But I knew I got the offer a couple weeks ago. So there are people out there that have it they've been doing this for a long time. And I'm just experiencing for the first time like the emotional toll it takes on you, and like the stress and anxiety. Mm-hmm. It's I'm specifically anxious and stressed and tired because they keep moving my start date. So it's like it almost doesn't feel like it's gonna happen. It is. Like, I have a meeting tomorrow morning. My work laptop is arriving tomorrow as well. So I'm sure everything will be fine, but in the back of my mind I'm like very stressed about this start date. So I think I'll feel better and more productive, which is weird, once I start my job.
I think it makes so much sense to be burnt out and stressed out during this process because you're putting yourself out there. I already kind of talked about this, but you're getting your hopes up. You are hearing, oh, we're so excited. We really like you. I would be, like maybe one of the hiring managers is really boosting your ego with something, and then you're like, all right, I got this. And then you get a rejection or you get completely ghosted. And that is super defeating and upsetting, emotional for sure, anxiety inducing for her, because if they keep pushing out the start date, luckily she's getting her laptop, so it sounds all good, and she's going to have a meeting the next day. So she's all set. But I could imagine when it was getting pushed out, it's like, okay, you're going to completely take this away from me, kind of just pull the rug right out from under you. The other side of it too is the finance side. Like, if you don't have money saved up, or it's just starting to get tight, you've been using up your savings. Luckily she got her job in about a month and a half, But for people who are going months without working and they didn't have savings, they're just going into further credit card debt, or they had to move in with their parents, or they're behind on a whole bunch of bills, of course that's going to lead to burnout. That is so stressful, and on top of the pressure to apply to jobs and look for jobs, and you just want to relax but you can't, like, there's just so many things going on in your brain. It makes complete sense.
I seriously think that the job market is becoming like a countrywide crisis, because like, what do you mean I posted a video that my company is hiring for interns and it like I have like 1,000 applications within a day, literally within a day, and like some of these people like went to like grad school, and I'm like, you're like way too overqualified for this. Like, but like they, like everyone's like, that's why I even started my own company. Like, honestly, that was really not on the agenda. That was like kind of like my 5-year plan. Like, I was like, I want a corporate job. I want to learn the ways of the road. I want to climb the corporate ladder. And like, then maybe in like 5 to 10 years, like start my own business. And like, I don't even know what I want that to be yet. Well, life took a turn. I couldn't get a job, so I had no choice but to make myself one, and it's going very well. And I'm very happy that I made that choice. Actually couldn't be happier. It's much more rewarding than being chained to a desk for someone else all day. But like, I just like really feel for everybody who is struggling so much to get a job. That's like also part of the reason I created this company, because like I want to be able to help people who are in the position I was in like a few months ago, to like make jobs, connections, and like at least get experience. That's why I'm taking on interns, because like I just want to do everything I can. Like, if I could like hire you and pay you 6 figures, I would, but obviously I can't do that. But like, it's so sad, it's so terrible. Like, we really like need a solution. Like, I don't know the solution, but like we need a solution, because this is like, it's eye-opening, honestly.
Yeah, of course, starting a business, starting your own company is not for everybody. It's also not possible for every single person to do this. But if you have any sort of itch to do it, and like you're just months out of a job and you're still struggling, like, keep on applying, but start your own thing too. And I think that is really hard to do, because going back to what I was just talking about, how it's just really stressful, and the financial stress, it becomes like a must for you to make money, and it's harder to like just follow your passions, or harder to have your heart in it when it's just like, I really need money, so I will do anything for money. But if you're working a 9-to-5 job right now and you're like, I could lose my job in the next few months, or I hate this, I want to do my own thing, like, I strongly encourage you, if you have any sort of itch to start your own thing, do it. Put time into it. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Be consistent, show up, put in the work. You may have to wake up earlier or go to bed a bit later, sacrifice some time with friends, sacrifice spending on personal spending or food out, and invest instead into what it is that you want to do. Don't invest too much, but yeah, you can build your own thing, and it is so much better. You'll never have to do an interview again. I'm going to stop there, because they're all kind of, saying the same thing, which makes sense, but there are a ton of these on TikTok. If you want to just search job market on TikTok, you'll see many, many more. If you've recently lost your job, I am so sorry. I feel for you. And if you're in the job market, whether you've lost your job or you are just wanting to switch careers, I feel for you. And I know it's tough. I wish you the best of luck. Comment down below if you've recently found a job and what it was that helped you to land that job, to speak with people, whatever it is. Or if you're currently in the job market and struggling, comment what you're looking for. And you never know. Hopefully this community could come together, and maybe y'all could end up connecting and get a job that way. I don't know. You never know. But thank y'all so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really supports my channel, and I'll see you in my next one.